Okay, we're live now, right?
Let it run for a while.
Let it run for a while.
Remember to ask people to post questions below.
Okay, remember to post questions, guys. Okay, we are running now, right? Obviously. Yes? Well, welcome back to Monday Night Chat with Wong Chen. That's me. Brought to you by my office, which is run by 3 really good staff. And now an army of interns. How many interns do you have today? 5. Going to 6 next week. Okay, in collaboration with our dear friends at Invoke, remember to support Invoke. Please sign up to be a volunteer. And for today, we have a musical guest star, one of our interns who's been with us for about 2 months. Yes, Sean. Sean is going to use an instrument which I have no idea what it is. What is it, Sean?
It's a 5.
5. Okay, come in, Sean.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, we started off with Star Wars today, so now we go straight into previously in Kelana Jaya. Okay. Well, there isn't really much going on in Kelana Jaya per se, but the Member of Parliament of Kelana Jaya, that's me, we have been spending a lot of time in Parliament. So Parliament ended on Thursday last week. Now, lots of things happen in Parliament. Of course, the big subject matter is on Thursday. The Member of Parliament for Marang, Haji Hadi Awang, withdrew his original proposal for Hudud, and then he replaced it with a reduction on the sentencing. So what we have currently as law in Malaysia is the 356 model, 3 years maximum jail sentence for any Sharia offences, 5,000 ringgit fine being the maximum, and 6 strokes of the rotan being the maximum. So the 356 model, Hadi Awang proposed to put up increasing 356 to basically, instead of 3 years, to 30 years for some specific crime, but of which were not specified particularly. And then instead of 5,000 ringgit, to increase the fine up to 100,000 ringgit, and instead of 6 strokes to go up to 100 strokes. So the 356 model is now being presented as an amendment. So what will happen is, come March 2017 next year, when Parliament recedes, he will again put up a motion, but this time the motion removes many of the difficult issues regarding Hudud and replace it with standard 356 to increase to 30 years, 100,000 fine and 100 strokes. Now, it doesn't mean that we agree to this, despite the fact that this new amendment do not challenge directly any constitutional issues. We still think it is just bad law, in the sense that it is not clear enough what exactly it is. So in my Facebook posting, and I'll repeat it here, we put up a simple example of, say, a Muslim young man and a Muslim young woman walking in a KLCC park, and they're holding hands, and a religious officer stops them, and this is actually based on a real incident many years ago, and say that, look, this is Kawat, we would like to charge you. Now, if they want to charge them, that's their prerogative. The question is, will they be facing 30 years jail? Or do they have to pay $100,000 fine and get 100 whips? So what we're saying to Hadi Awang is, please go back and re-amend once more, but this time specify what exactly the maximum punishment should be about for each individual Sharia offense. Yeah, and at all times exercise, of course, reasonableness. We understand that the laws haven't changed for like 20 years or close to 20 years. So an amendment is due, but the amendment shouldn't be about increasing sentences or increasing the quantum of sentence. It should be more about a holistic approach to improve the Sharia courts and also the judicial process. So you need to look at evidence issue. You have to look at issue of jurisprudence. You have to look at issue of even resources given to the Sharia court, whether they are adequate or not to properly run the country. Now, we go into the next issue, which is the march that the members of Parliament took to march from Parliament to Bukit Aman. About 45 members of Parliament attended the march. It was done about, I can't remember now, 9 o'clock or 9:30, about 9:30 to 10 before Parliament started. Now the march signifies two basic issues that we have a problem with in this current or in the last parliamentary sitting. We have a major problem where members of Parliament say certain things in Parliament and then they are liable to be charged by the police for sedition. So in that particular sitting, we had Shafi Abdal, we had Husni, who is still in UMNO, and we had Tan Sri Muhyiddin, who left UMNO together with Shafi Abdal, who made very strong remarks regarding 1MDB. Things that we do all the time. But the government somehow believed that this was in breach of Official Secrets Act, something that Rafizi has faced, and the police has called them for interviews. The other issue is that, of course, we marched also for Rafizi's case, where he was sentenced for revealing documents, allegedly revealing documents on OSA, which everybody in the world knows now how deplorable the situation really is for 1MDB. So the march was really to protest and tell the police not to limit or not to interfere in the powers of parliamentarians for exposing real stories, or at least exposing a situation in Parliament, and to ask the Speaker of the House to protect us from doing our job, for doing our job. So that was what the march was really about, and also we threw in, of course, the march to try to release Maria Chin, and thank God today we've heard the news that she has been released about 5 o'clock just now. So good for Maria. It's good that she's out, and let's hope that they completely drop all charges against her. Now the last issue is a bit more disturbing. It's regarding the dispute that Khalid Samad has with the Deputy Minister Tajuddin. Now it all started, as most of you know, from this Tajuddin making a very sexist remark about Teresa Kopp, and then it's pretty obvious what he said, but he never apologized, and he tried to justify it by saying that he's just making I don't think he doesn't even admit to a pun, right? He's just saying that he's just calling out Teresa's name. Everybody knows it's not true. It's the insincerity that sort of got us mostly riled up. And if you remember, if you watch the video, most of us were just stunned by the thing, and nobody raised the issue until he was very apparent to be not sincere, or he didn't offer any apology. So that got us all really angry, and after a few minutes, then this altercation, voice dispute between Khalid Samad and Tajuddin took place, where Khalid Samad called Tajuddin Sial, right? So this was a week ago, and then it's come home to roost, so to speak. What happened was Tajuddin and Tajuddin's people, there were about 10 of them, including his son, basically ambushed Khalid Samad in Parliament, about 100 meters away from the entrance of Parliament. Khalid got out of the car. He was surrounded by security personnel who had a tip-off that there could be some issues. And then these people proceeded to punch and kick and hit some of these personnel who were guarding Khalid Samad. And then he was ushered into there. But under Malaysian law, there is a very specific clause that protects members of Parliament from going to Parliament unobstructed and without fear. And if you threaten a member of Parliament, you could be jailed up to 7 years in jail. So we asked the police, and all this is recorded by Malaysia Kini and other news reporters, we asked the police to do their job, investigate, well, there's not much to investigate, but find the people and make sure that justice is delivered. And as for the deputy minister, I think he really has to go and do something more. And I think he needs to really apologize quickly. And I think for Najib, if he wants to save any credibility left in his government, to consider seriously removing him as a minister. Because this kind of action, when whether he did it or not, directly or indirectly, this kind of action cannot be condoned, and it should be looked upon really, really harshly. If not criminal, at least some resignation must take place as soon as possible. So that's it for previously in Kelana Jaya. Today we have a very special Policy Monday. But before that, let's have Sean come out with the 5. Is that right, 5? Yeah, 5. The 5 again with another tune. Sean. Thank you. That's when the saints go marching in, right? Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. Come in, girls. Here we are on Policy Monday. Yeah. Can you see that? Okay. So Policy Monday, instead of me yakking about a policy, okay, we've invited my staff, the 3 of them. Abigail, is it? You were not wearing that just now.
I was.
Really?
It's inside my pink and grey.
Oh, I see. So you've dropped the whole slacker look.
Yes.
Okay, good. Well, let me just explain why Policy Monday we have the 3 girls here with us. Shall I call you girls or ladies? I don't know. What is the appropriate terminology now?
Well, in Parliament they call us angels.
Yeah.
So angels work.
Okay, I'm going to hand over the mic. But basically, I'll just say this. We've been looking at agriculture policy, in particular rice farming. And because I'm close friends with YB Gui, you'll give a description later, YB Gui, I'm sure. But, we decided to help poor YB Gui and try and write a rice farming policy for Malaysia. So what we're still trying. Okay. So what happened was we sent the 3 girls to a road trip to Alor Setar, and I will pass the mic to the girls to describe their policy efforts this week.
Okay. Hi, you all know me. I'm Abigail. You all do. Don't act like you don't. Okay. Okay, so boss sent us off on the Alor Setar trip, I think, on Thursday itself. We were actually supposed to go like after 5. But seeing how there was there wasn't a huge issue regards to the Hudud thing, because it was raised and dismissed within the matter of 2 minutes. So our boss was like, yeah, sure, go ahead. No worries now. So yes, that's what we did. At about 3 we left. Mm-hmm. At about 3 we left Parliament, got into Tanya's Myvi. The tank, that's what it's called. It's hardcore, believe me, just like her. So yeah, drove all the way down, and then we checked into this fancy hotel. Because it was my birthday.
Happy birthday!
Thank you.
Wait, before that, can you ask the people to write in questions now?
Oh, yes, guys. Please do put in your questions right now at the comment section below. Yeah? Okay, where was I? Yes, fancy hotel. And then after that, my mom took us to go to this fancy restaurant to have really good meal. My mom has this thing where when she goes all out, she just goes all out. So no one can stop her. Not even my dad. Hi, Pa. But yeah, so that happened, and then we had a good night's rest. And the next day waited for Gui to call us.
Who is this Gui?
Yes, who is Gui? We call him Gui, but you might know him as YB Gui. If you don't know him, then he's the Member of Parliament of Alor Setar. So if you are in Alor Setar and you didn't know that your Member of Parliament is YB Gui, well, now you know. Thanks to me. Okay. So after that, he called us at about like 12.
Oh yeah.
At about 12 o'clock, told us where to meet, and then we actually met 2 farmers in somewhere in Alor Setar. Don't ask me where. I don't really know the Alor Setar place as well, but we met them there. I had good conversation. I think Nadira and Tanya will talk a little bit more on the information that they needed to help out with the policy writing. And then on Saturday, we met another interesting guy. His name is Captain Zakaria, right? Captain Zakaria. And I think that gave us all a little bit more insight on a solution, and gave us a little bit more hope after hearing what the other 2 farmers had to say.
So what problems were there?
Okay, I
think
Nadira.
The problem was everything. No, we went down to Gadah to find out why were farmers so poor, even though the government has been giving them so many subsidies, having so many programs to help them, right?
Yeah,
So we initially went down to the idea that maybe their income could be increased by increasing their productivity.
Yeah.
So I pitched the idea. No, I didn't pitch the idea, but I kind of implied that, maybe, the farmers should mechanize or things like that to increase yield. They're like, oh, that's not enough. That's not enough. The government actually has a lot of programs going on. They have subsidy for fertilizers. Yeah. They set up things like Mardi and Mada researching, protecting farmers' rights, especially in income. But nothing is working. Like, for instance, the subsidies are not enough to help the farmers grow better crops. The fertilizers are not great. Then things like Mardi and Mada are incredibly politicized. So our first interview with the two representatives on Friday was very depressing.
Really?
Yeah, because they were telling what exactly their cost was. They're telling what exactly the subsidy programs was, and essentially farmers, their yield is twice a year, so they work 6 months. In next 6 months, they only earn 2,000, which means in 1 month they are lucky to even earn 500 ringgit. The lucky ones get maybe 900 ringgit, but that is not enough to sustain a living. They fall right under the Miskin Tegak, Kumpulan Miskin Tegak, if I'm not mistaken, but I'm not very sure. But and the other sad part is that because of how farmers, when they pass away, they're supposed to fragmentize their land, and then the younger farmer gets into a spiral of debt because his land is too small to get enough yield. He has to rent other places to get enough yield to sustain his costs. But because the costs are so high, it's literally not economically viable to be a farmer. Yeah. So a lot of these farmers, while doing farming activities, they actually go out and become pengilang. Work in kilang and things like that. Work in kilang just to sustain their life. So, if farming became like a second activity.
So they can make more in kilang, or they can make more.
The implication from the representatives seem that they make more from the kilang. And yet they are still doing their farming activities. From what I understand, it's because it's a family tradition, right. And they have the land. So
let's hear what Tanya has to say about the trip, Tanya, generally. I heard that you ate a lot of pachi.
Oh, you just have to bring that. Okay, this is a public health announcement for all you listeners out there. Try not to eat too many sunflower seeds in one sitting, because it gives you a condition called steatorrhea. And that's basically when you have fat and oil in your poop. And your poop looks like an oil slick. Okay, that's too much information about health. Let's go back to the policy today, which is on rice and farming. Nadira mentioned the meetings with the representatives, and even though that was depressing in the sense that we found out a lot more problems that the farmers are facing and how things have been politicized, I think for me, I found that personally very inspiring, because you meet people on the ground who are actually fighting the fight, even though it's a losing battle, but they are still out there, and they are still people who truly care for the farmers, which are like a few other people that we met. I'm sure there are many more out there. I guess to me, what spoke to me is that it's not that Malaysians don't know what to do. I mean, we do have solid policy proposals that we heard out talking to the representatives, but it's that the implementation is just really bad. So places like Mada and Mardi that are supposed to be helping the farmers end up being bogged down in politics, and because of that, the farmers do not get the help that they need. Yeah. And I guess the one way forward would be for the paddy farmers to have a proper farmers union or cooperative that truly represents the interests of the farmers. Like, that is very strongly had, I think, in America for their farmers. There was something else I want to say.
Captain Zakaria.
Oh yes, we met Captain Zakaria. So he runs an organic paddy farm in the district of Sik. So it's actually quite far in. Even from Penang, we had to drive in about 1.5 to 2 hours. First, we started on the regular highway, then we went to the Kedah Highway. The Kedah Highway basically has 2 lanes. Once you go to Kedah Highway, you turn into this small kampong road that has one lane, and then finally the tar disappears and you're left on this bumpy road. But finally, we found his farm, Gui and ourselves. And he treated us to a really nice kampung lunch together with his organic rice. But the point of that is Captain Zakaria, he barely got any government help. I think the only help he got was starting out. Yep. So when he started out, he got seeds from the government. But beyond that, he's a self-made, successful organic paddy farmer. His yield is much higher than conventional paddy farming, and he uses 70% less water. So even though his costs might be more, but the profit that he gets from selling his rice is far exceeds, I guess, conventional paddy farming. So I guess that could be a model that the state might look in, that the state should look into.
So what is the main experience that you guys learned from this? I mean, Abigail, let me hear it from you.
Okay.
Yeah?
Bonding
What
with
is
you.
what is the main thing? I mean, is it really subsidies going forward? What does Zakaria do that is so different?
Man, I think like Zakaria, because Captain Zakaria, right? That means that he was previously in the military, right?
Yeah.
Then came out and did farming. I think like
boat.
he's a boat.
Captain of a
Yeah.
boat.
Yeah, captain of a boat. Yeah, captain of a boat. Sorry, my mistakes.
Navy
Captain
man.
of a boat. Yeah, Navy man. Yeah, and the moment he retired, he came and did farming and that sort of thing, and he's got a whole thing going on and stuff. It's really nice. Yeah, he is famous. Yeah, he actually, yeah, he's actually, yeah, he actually got like an international organic farming certificate of some sort. I don't know the exact name for it, but that's what he got. So he has visitors internationally coming to his place to learn from him on how he actually does the organic paddy farming. And I think, like, I guess what we all took from it was just that he had so much pride in what he did, and because of that, that pushed him to want to do it even more. And I think, like, it also helps when he actually sees the returns, rather than see minor ones, but he actually sees like 3 times more the returns than the other farmers do. And I think, like, when I was talking to YB Gui on the side as well, while the other two were being briefed with all these information, was that we realized that, like in the Western countries, they take such pride in farming. They're so proud to be farmers, and they just do their best in the field, and the government supports them and stuff like that. So what we realize here, that because of the lack of substantial government support and the lack of returns, it dulls down the pride that they could have or should have when it comes to farming and providing food security for our country.
So the bottom line is we have to find policies that sort of empower a culture, I suppose, right? Yeah. So it's not just about money.
Correct.
It's almost like an art form. We have to find policies that somehow triggers people to be like with passion, right?
So what Captain Zakaria did, he treated it like how we should treat teaching profession.
Okay.
So teachers, you should make it a career instead of a job. You're there to educate the people. You're not there to earn a profit, right?
Yeah.
So he approached farming as that. It was more of a career than a job. It was his duty to provide food security to people, whether it's food security in an unlikely event of an emergency or things like that, or just to provide food that is chemical free, that it's health. It's for
Does he
healthy
grow
living.
all this himself? How many acres does he have?
10 acres. So 10 acres, hectares. 10 hectares. 9.464 is dedicated to farming, paddy farming.
Okay.
Yeah, and he does it all organically, so he does not use the normal poisons that other farmers use. He uses, like Tanya said, 70% less irrigation water and things like that. I think his cost is slightly higher for only one harvest. That's about it. But according to the professor that was also there at the same time, she said, well, that if you were to count the hidden costs of conventional farming, then that conventional farming will exceed
The
his
hidden
costs.
costs being what? Environmental
Things like she gave 2 examples. One, let's say transportation costs, motorcycle from his place to Sawah. Another thing is like, let's say there's a drought. Then they need extra. I don't know what the exact words, but they need something extra to divert water. Another interesting one was like, government also sometimes provide racun, poisons, and farmers whose crops are not doing well will be convinced that these racun will do well, so they will buy some more, things like this. Then
Okay. Wait, before we proceed a bit further, do we have any questions coming in? If we don't have, how many questions do we have? One. So why don't we have an extended Policy Monday thing? Just a bit more, right? What time are we now, Joy? What time is it now?
5 to 8.
5 to 8. So we'll do one question. Yeah, so let's have another few minutes of Policy Monday, which is rice, Paddy, right?
On rice.
Oh, there is a question on rice. Why don't we take the... Okay, we're going to merge now. We're going to merge Q&A. Let's have a
Policy
Monday. And let's have a musical thing first. Let's
Intermission.
intermission. Sean's trying to memorize what.
Come on, Sean. Marine here.
Such talents in our office,
Yes,
don't we?
we do.
This is crazy talented. Okay, now let's have a question and then we'll continue a bit of yakking about the thing. So, what's the question?
So Jonathan Lim asks, it seems that Captain Zakaria has improved the financial viability of his operation via technology improvements. Instead of dead money subsidies, could the money be used for technology injections and distributions?
I don't think it's technology, is it? Organic, right?
No.
So who wants to answer this? Anybody?
I think either one
Tanya
of
Lo.
them has a better grasp on
Technology.
Well,
It's not
maybe Jonathan's got the right idea.
Yeah, he's got the right
You
idea.
want to
Yeah.
put it here?
But let's just clarify
I
it.
don't think
I'll hold
I don't
here.
think it's technology, you know.
Yeah.
It's methods.
It's a method rather than a technology, and it's not like the farmers are without technology.
Yeah.
They actually do
No,
hire.
I think
things,
Jonathan
right?
is basically worried about subsidy mentality.
Oh,
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
My view is subsidies is required. That's for sure.
Yes.
Right? Because if you don't subsidize at all, there's no way they can make any money. Even with subsidy, they are struggling.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think subsidy is required, but you need to incentivize performance out of it. But the main issue about Captain Zakaria is really that it's organic farming,
Yeah.
right? I don't know, how do you increase yield 3 times compared to others? So what do you think?
No idea, but I think from the technology aspect, I know that he doesn't use improved technology, because when I asked about the water irrigation system, Felix, the intern that was there, explained to me that he said it's due to gravity. And I was like, what do you mean gravity? And
So
then
what they do, they slope it lah. That's what it
correct,
is,
they
yes.
slope it, yeah. So because they are on top of a hilly place, right?
Yeah.
So they get their water source from the top and it just pours down. So they don't even need an additional pump to pump out pressurized water. So it was actually quite interesting. So everything is done organically, really, organic.
No, but I'm sure we can't grow rice organically. I mean, you can have 99% of the rice grown organically. You can probably have a balance of 70-30 maximum. Maximum, right? I mean, the market demands probably 10% organic rice. So we do have to be sensitive about this kind of thing. But girls, what do you have? What is your final take on this thing? Because I think we have a couple more minutes left. Joy, right? Yeah. So maybe some last words about your trip to Kedah, or something bad you want to say about Gui. Go ahead.
No, Gui is awesome. I think
Gui is awesome.
we bonded
Yeah.
with Gui more than we bonded with each other. Thanks, Gui. Really. Sorry about Abigail.
What do you mean?
What did Abigail
What did Abigail do?
I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
Abigail hit Gui's favorite possession.
Yes.
That's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
So can you
You
want
better
to?
tell us what it is, because people are going to speculate.
Yeah, correct.
Honestly.
Exactly. I kind of hid his cigarette box. That's just it.
In my bag.
Yeah, in her bag.
Any last words? Anybody? Tanya, what did you like about the thing? What was it really about?
I really like Captain Zakaria. Thank you, Captain Zakaria. I'm not sure whether you're watching this. I don't think you are. Oh, there's no internet there?
No, it's.
Oh yeah, it's really bad connect. It was so bad connection that when we tried to call Gui asking where he was, because he was an hour late, we couldn't quite get through to him. But I guess Captain Zakaria struck me. He's more than just a farmer. He's quite like a guy you would call a patron. And Gui even said that, if anyone should get a Datuk ship, it should be Captain Zakaria.
Yeah, that's right.
We talked about rice a lot, but we talked beyond rice. We talked about the nation. We talked about things like racism. I think one of my favorite parts was when he was sharing his stories about how he was going on a kampong and he made friends with this Chinese boy in the kampong, and he would teach the Chinese boy Malay, and the Chinese boy would teach him math. And basically back then there were no like racial barriers. You just had fun together. You stole people's things together. You got punished. You got punished by your parents together. And I think that's one thing I would like to see brought back to Malaysia. Like besides all this reform about rights and stuff, I think reform along national unity and just taking the race factor out of a lot of things would be good. Yeah.
Okay. Abigail, any last words?
I think like just to add on to what Tanya said, that was really inspiring. To see that we are not the only ones here fighting that battle of injustice. But they are as well on the grounds, and people are getting frustrated and annoyed. Even though not many can come forth and say it, but you have some that can still stand on their own and can fearlessly say that enough is enough. We've got to do things the right way. I think that was really empowering, and that was really hopeful to some of us here.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nadira, anything?
I'm not as charismatic as Abigail, but I guess it was nice because we just left right after Parliament. No, because that day everyone's anticipating Hudud. We did so much research on Hudud. We read about it and things like that. And after the whole the grand 2-minute debate, it felt even worse because it was a waste of everyone's time and effort. And to go down to Alor Setar and talk to these people, it feels like maybe there is still some reason to fight here. Because that, let's quote Lord of the Rings, right? What did Samwise say to Frodo when he said, "What's the point in fighting?" Because there's still good in this world, and it's worth fighting for.
Okay. Well, this has been a special Monday night chat, right? Now, I'm gonna go on a holiday tomorrow for a week, just to get away from the girls. My God. But we will be back next week. And we do, if you guys like this new format where we sort of bring in people to talk more, just not to just look at my face all the time, then, just send us our comments and we'll be back.
Yeah.
Okay? You want to say anything? Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
I'm terrified at the moment, actually.
Bye.
Dinner time. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Good.